This section of the Performance Management Guide looks at making an informed, fair, and unbiased assessment of each individual's performance at the end of any review period. It is important to remember that there should be no surprises at the end of the year, and that ongoing reviews and discussions between the manager and the individual will have alerted them to any significant gaps and allowed them to take corrective action. It is also critical that the following things have happened. The objectives were clear, specific, and measurable in the first place. The manager has taken every possible action to address performance problems during the year. That the manager has been giving ongoing feedback and engaging in regular dialogue with the individual, and we'll explore this in Section 8 of this guide. Both the manager and the individual have been collating evidence to support the achievement, or not, of objectives. A further key point to bear in mind is that managers need to be aware of and recognise their own biases in decision-making. It is important to be as objective as possible and to take careful note of any organisational guidelines regarding assigning performance levels. If you are a manager, making an objective assessment of performance at the end of the review period is crucial. It provides the basis for a sound, objective assessment, and this can be important if your assessments are likely to be challenged at a review process or similar. But it encourages you to recognise where people have done well and helps you to make it clear when standards or expectations have not been met and be clear on why. Assigning an achieved rating or giving a performance reward to someone who has not achieved their objectives is neither helpful to them nor conducive to a positive team environment. An employee will have a better understanding about where to focus effort, will get recognition for where he or she has done well, and know where expectations have not been met so improvement can be made. This slide shows some of the common assessment biases and what can be done to reduce their impact on the process. No one can magically remove their biases. We all need to be aware of them, recognise their value, and challenge them routinely. It is important to remember that we are all subject to biases. We can't help it. Biases, despite having negative connotations, are actually helpful to us. They are our brain's way of making shortcuts, filling in gaps, making quick assumptions, and generally coping with the wealth of data and sensory information that is flooding us at all times. Without biases, we would be unlikely to cope with life, and it is the only way we are able to make sense of the world and the vast amounts of information we are continually absorbing. Biases are based on experience and previous patterns and are difficult to avoid, but they are not always right. They can give us preconceived notions, fixed judgments, and in some cases lead to stereotyping, prejudice, and unfairness. We can't stop our brains from using these mental shortcuts, but we can challenge and check our thinking to help us come to rational and balanced decisions about people, including performance assessments. For managers to put this into practice, they may like to make sure that they understand how performance will be judged in the organisation in terms of ratings and by keeping abreast of the objectives set. They need to be aware of bias and challenge their thinking. Keep up to date with monthly, quarterly and half-yearly reviews and get the individual to self-assess his or her performance in advance of any meeting. They may want to use 360-degree feedback to check on their own perceptions against the view of others. And also, don't avoid the ends of any performance rating scale. If someone has exceeded their objectives, this should be recognised. Equally, if someone has not met one or more objectives, no favours are being done by rating them otherwise. And if managers have kept on top of the regular progress discussions, this will not come as a surprise.